Greetings. Welcome to Dr. English's Book Lovers Book Club. I'm Dr. English and I teach English. Today I'm going to review a book called The Inheritance Game. It's by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And the reason why I picked this one is last fall when I was substitute teaching in a middle school, I noticed a lot of the middle school students were reading this book during their reading time, which I love, that the whole school read at a particular time of the day. And every student had a book and a teacher. I was really impressed by that. So I thought, I'm going to get this book and see what's all about. And I'm so glad I did, because I really did enjoy this. I went through this really quickly because I've always been someone who likes a mystery, thanks to Nancy Drew and the Caroline Keene, several ghostwriters. But and some of those some were good and some were But anyway, I like a mystery. And this one is like, you don't really know. Although she left some hints, or, if you're Taylor Swift, an Easter egg or two. And so I liked that, and I figured it out probably a quarter of the way through the story. Like, one of the very minor characters in the beginning, I thought, oh, I got this. I know this is, and I got to the end and I was right. So I always love it when I actually think about that. It seems like, just like if you watch Only Murders in the Building, it's always somebody that's kind of on the perimeter, that is the person. And so there's not a murder here, but it's just really a good book about this girl. Her name is Avery. I think it's Avery Grahams, something like that. And she's with her sister. Her mother is deceased, and they're just trying to eke out a living. And she's working at a like a waitress, and her sister's got a really crappy boyfriend named Drake, and then she gets called to the principal's office, and there's this young man from Texas, who says she needs to come to Texas because there's the will of some billionaire in Texas, and she needs to be present at the reading of the will. So that, really piqued my interest right from the start. I thought, okay, this is an unusual way to start a book out. And I wonder, so that's half the draw for me. I got to have some reason to invest my time. And I was like, okay, why is she being called to the reading of a will? And she seems like she's kind of a homeless, penniless person who plays chess with some guy named Harry at the beginning of the book, who's an older man. But she likes, to try to get him food because he doesn't have food. And so she's, playing chess against him so that he will allow her to buy him food. And so she gets called into the principal's office, and then she gets flown on a private jet to Texas. But there are three brothers. Their mother is a part of this very wealthy family. They all have different dads, I believe. So they're trying to figure out, why is this girl coming from this, place, and they have no idea who she is, and she has no idea who these people are. So the mystery revolves around, like, why is she being called to this reading of the will? And so I'm like, I don't understand this at all. It's like, did this billionaire just randomly pick? And that's what the brothers think, that she was just randomly picked to receive all this money just because he didn't want them to have the money. And there's a time that he actually rewrote his will 20 years prior. And I think that's about how old she is, but that can't be right because she's still in school. So, I just find it really fascinating that there's a couple of things that I thought, well, wait, this doesn't jive. But for the most part, I feel like, that she did a good job she did a really good job of keeping me interested in the book, because I really wanted to read it quickly to figure out if my hunch was right. But it's more complicated than that, because she takes you through the whole process of each of the brothers and their interaction with Avery. And I really like that you get a sense of, she's really good at character development. And I really feel like, she made each of the brothers a particular kind of character. And then the other extended family too. There's always these, anytime there's a mystery or something that, you start to see, she kind of gradually lets you know, what is everybody's stake in all of this, and who they are, and what kind of secrets they have, which I find that really fascinating, that she's really good at keeping some secrets, and letting that unfold really gradually. So you're like, oh, Ah, now that makes it seem a whole lot different. And now that I know that about that particular character. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this read. And I think if you like a good mystery, then you'll really, really love this book. It's not a murder mystery, mind you. It's just a mystery about, and the person who, the person who died, he left it as a mystery. He liked, testing his grandsons on, solving problems and, really motivate him to do stuff. Like one of them is a huge inventor and has all these patents and everything. So the grandfather really pushed them to be, to be achievers, but also to know how to solve a problem and how to solve a mystery. And so that part of it I like. He's dead, but he's playing in their lives, and it's just, and I think they all know that. That's the thing. Like, and the boys are really competitive, so they're all trying to outdo each other. So to see if they can get to them, figure out the puzzle, so to speak. So, um, I'm going to start here. It's early in the book when she gets to Texas and meeting all these people that she doesn't know. And I thought it was funny that their last name was Hawthorne because, I'm a huge fan of Nathaniel Hawthorne. And so it's kind of funny that that's their name because it's like there's this big mansion. And I always think of the House of Seven Gables and all the secret passageways and things. And this house has all kinds of secret, and it's like a whole kind of campus. Like people have wings in the house that they stay in. So he had, billions of dollars. So this is when she gets to Texas, and they're getting ready to read read the will. Um, uh, God, listen to you. Zara lost her hold on her tone. You got in his head, didn't you, Sky? Batted your eyelashes and convinced him to bypass us and leave everything to your sons. Sky's voice was crisp. The word you're looking for is sons. The word she's looking for is bastards. Nash Hawthorne had the thickest Texas accent of anyone in the room. Not like we haven't heard it before. If I had a son, Zara's voice caught. But you didn't, Sky. Let that sink in. Did you, Zara? Zara, I'm not sure. Enough, Zara's husband stepped in. We will sort this out. I'm afraid there's nothing to be sorted, Mr. Ortega re-entered the fray. You will find the will is ironclad with significant disincentives to any who might be tempted to challenge it. I translated that to mean, roughly, shut up and sit down. This is through Avery's, or Stella. I'm sorry, I said Avery, and it's not. It's Avery. Avery is the name of the person. I have another book that's a different person's name. Sorry for the confusion. Um, I translated that to mean, roughly, shut up and sit down. Now, if I may continue, Mr. Ortega looked back down at the will in his hands. To my grandsons, Noah Westbrook Hawthorne, Grayson Davenport Hawthorne, Jameson Winchester Hawthorne, and Alexander Blackwood Hawthorne, I leave everything, Zara muttered bitterly. Mr. Ortega spoke over her. $250,000 apiece, payable on their 25th birthdays until such time to be managed by Alyssa Ortega, trustee. What? Alyssa sounded shocked. I mean, what? The hell? Noah Nash told her pleasantly. The phrase you're looking for, darling, is what the hell? Tobias Hawthorne hadn't left everything to his grandsons. Given the scope of his fortune, he left them a pittance. A pittance. What is going on here? Grayson asked, each word deadly and precise. Tobias Hawthorne didn't leave everything to his grandsons. He didn't leave everything to his daughters. My brain ground to a halt right there. My ears rang. Please, everyone, Mr. Ortega held up a hand. Allow me to finish. $46.2 billion, I thought, my heart attacking my ribcage and my mouth sandpaper dry. Tobias Hawthorne was worth $46.2 billion, and he left his grandsons $1 million combined, $100,000 total to his daughters, another $500,000 to his servants, and an annuity for Nan. The math in this equation did not add up. It couldn't add up. One by one, the other occupants of the room turned to stare at me. The remainder of my estate, Mr. Ortega read, including all properties, monetary assets, and worldly possessions not otherwise specified, I leave to Avery Kylie Grahams. So that's how the book starts off at about page 38, where Avery Kylie Grahams is left most of the $42 billion empire with this man she doesn't know, Tobias Hawthorne. And so that's where you just want to know of course, as the reader, you want to know why would he do this? And so, but like I said, there's a couple little things that she'll drop a few. She drops a big hint in the very beginning if you just got to pay attention though. So I definitely think, like I said, there were a lot of middle schoolers were reading this. I think that you could teach this in a 6th grade or 7th grade language arts class. I think the kids would really love making predictions about things. And so it's definitely one to put on your shelf, because obviously there were middle schoolers who were reading it. And I mean, several of them at a time. I thought, oh my gosh, if I was teaching English language arts in a middle school, I would definitely do book clubs, so that I could have a couple of different ones and have one group read it. Because then, later on another group will say, oh, I want to read that. I'll find out what's going on, because you'd have to, explain to your students not to give any, spoilers to other groups if they choose to read that book. So I definitely would, if I could, I would teach that book as a whole class book, but I'd also, consider doing it for book clubs or NALO panels. And definitely have it on my shelf for kids to check out. And I am assuming that the media specialist had a couple different copies of it, because I had kids who had it, or their parents bought it for them, one of the two. But I do think it'd be a great book for, I would love to teach it. I think other people would too. So, so I highly recommend it. I can't wait to do my Goodreads review of that. I like to give 5 stars if I can. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye.